All right, guys, welcome back to the Onsite Insight podcast. I'm your host, Corey Tompkins. Now today, we've got a special guest. This is going to be unlike all the other episodes that you guys have listened to. Today's episode is going to be short and sweet, but it's going to be jam-packed and one for all you apprentices or guys that aren't an apprentice that are thinking about getting into the trade. This is going to be for you. So today, we've got Jack Marchant. Jack was he was my very first apprentice back right at the start, back when I was still doing building work and that in and around Brisbane. And so he's here today to share his story and his journey and, you know, what he's currently doing now. He's still not at the end of his journey and he's going to give a bit of advice. So Jack, thank you for coming.
No, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you for taking the drive out here, and I know it's not just around the corner for you anymore.
It's only about 20 minutes, actually.
Where do you live now? You live
Springfield.
So Jack's out there now. When he first started with me, he was living in Intrapilli.
Yeah.
So, tell everyone a little bit about you, what you when you obviously you started with me, your apprenticeship was a mature age apprenticeship, why you got in your apprenticeship. Originally you were doing, I think initially you were doing landscaping, and then obviously, what you're doing now.
Yeah, so finished school, almost started apprenticeship straight away.
And then you're working at the bar.
Yep.
Yeah, so don't forget that. Yeah.
So, almost started apprenticeship straight away, but then a few opportunities came up, a bit of coaching at my old high school, working for a family friend as a delivery driver, working at Kmart. Then another opportunity came up of doing a gig at South Bank lifeguarding for summer.
That's right, you're a lifeguard too.
Yeah, so I did all that, and then mate asked me, do you want to come work at a bar with me? And I was like, yep, sweet. Went and did that for, I was thinking 6 months, and then I'd go work. Started working as a landscaper just before the bar. Wasn't totally it. He couldn't take on an apprentice at a time either, so when the bar came up, there was money coming into the bank, obviously. And
you were working nights?
Yeah, so started at nights.
Yeah.
Then about 6 months in, they were like, do you want to start doing the day shift? So getting there at 9 a.m, setting up, getting the people that walk in at 10 a.m. when the doors open, have their 2 schooners, go home.
And this was a pub right in the city, wasn't it?
Right in the city.
Yeah.
And then after about a year there, they were like, do you want to do managing nights? We'll pay for the course, which was about K back then. I was like, sure, why not? Did it. And my roster for the next year and a half was Monday stock take, Tuesday 5 a.m. keg shift, Wednesday, Thursday off, Friday night from 4 p.m. till 3 a.m. and same Saturday, and then back up on Sunday. And so that was kind of my life. And then got to a realisation, didn't want to do it forever.
Yeah. So how old were you when that realisation sort of happened? Like, so were you 21? How old were you when you were at that bar?
When I was at the bar, I think I messaged or got introduced to you when I was about 24.
Yeah.
So, it'd been about 5 years out of high school.
Yeah. So this is for all you kids out there that are currently listening that you just finished high school and you're still thinking on what to do. It's never too late. So anyway.
It's never too late. Like my dad does wood turning and all that. Yeah. So I was still working with wood products, loved the tools, loved making stuff. I still do it. Mm-hmm. Sell some wood chopping boards and cheese boards here and there. But I was like, I want to go do an apprenticeship. Yeah. My old man's a welder by trade. Yeah. So he was all for it.
I think we forget there's a lot of context to this and Jack's not really touched on it. But so Jack initially, I'll interject here. When I first met Jack, I was still, So
you would have been 23.
Yeah, I was young as the business owner, and we'd only just sort of started. I was still I was doing jobs here, there, and everywhere for myself. I was studying my diploma as well at night. Yeah. So both young and dumb. So Jack come in and then got introduced and it was through a family friend and Jack was, so how it all started right at the start was we put him on a trial and he was working at his job that he's talking about at the bar while doing carpentry. So, and
First 2 months.
yeah, so for the first 2 months, basically the conversation is that I didn't care what he did outside of work, but he was to make sure that he rocked up. And yeah, to his defense, he showed up every day. Even on, I think it was, you were doing Thursday nights, Friday nights, or something. It was something like that. It was that like that period rolling into the weekend or something like that. And yeah, showed up. So he'd work through the night, maybe get home, have a sleep or whatever, and then be back at work at 6 the following day to keep working. And he did that for like 2 months straight. Like we didn't have any breaks. There was no, like, we were still working like bulk Saturdays as well at that point. Like it was very normal for us to work a Saturday. And, you know, not like it is now. For you guys that are listening, we don't fucking work Saturdays at all. But, yeah, so it was very normal for us to work Saturdays. And, yeah, he was doing through that. And I think at the end of that, that's when I was like, okay, well, like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to fucking do it. So, yeah, we signed up. And, yeah, basically it was a really long journey. So
during that 2 months, I wasn't just working for you. I was working for your brother as well with his business starting up.
So,
and he wasn't quite ready for apprentice either. You were just
looking back now, it was absolute shit show. Like,
yeah, you used to text me on Sunday night and be like, "Okay, I'm good. You'll go be with me Monday to Wednesday.
Yeah.
You go be with Garnet Thursday, Friday,
yeah,
and then Saturday you're back with me at this job."
And then there was points where like I didn't have work, so I was hourly rating to people, but then I was pushing Jack in at my hourly rate that I was getting just to keep us busy. So, you know, I'm talking like fundamental days. Like these are days where it was like before I had obviously an admin and an office and all the rest of it. Like these were right at the start. And yeah, so he was with me right through then. So then basically, as Jack was saying, we were doing heaps of small jobs, and then we ended up winning probably one of the largest projects at the time. Was a house in Camp Hill, and I think that was definitely a cornerstone moment for us. Didn't make a fucking single cent on it, for you guys that are listening, but didn't make an ounce of money on it. But we did the thing. Everyone was happy. The job looked good. And it was, the client was happy overall. So, Jack got to experience that. And obviously there was all this other stuff in between that we're about to dive into now. So anyway, we've touched on how you sort of started out.
Yep.
What was the reasoning? What was that light bulb moment for you when you were at the pub, when you were working at the pub, and you sort of said to yourself, listen, I want to do a carpentry apprenticeship, or not even apprenticeship. You don't want to be doing this your whole life.
Yeah, it came I didn't want to do that whole life. I had, obviously there's progression there. You can go general management and run a bar, and you can try get a roster Monday or Friday, but
at the end of the day, the lifestyle was shit.
Yeah, like my friends were going out. Well, they'll come into the bar to have a couple of drinks with where I worked, and then they'd head out or that. And I was missing out on a few of those things. Like obviously, if I need a Friday off to go to something, I was given it off because I worked the other 50 in the year. Mm-hmm. But I was missing out on a few things.
Yeah.
Obviously, the work was great. Like I was still playing soccer during it, so like I might play soccer at 4 p.m. Yeah. Finish at 6. Get
and you were not engaged. You were not engaged at this point. You were currently single.
Very single.
Yeah, just cruising around. So how did that? So because obviously, all right, guys, congratulations. You're halfway through this episode. I hope you guys are really enjoying it. But first, I just want to make a special thank you to Ideal Group Australia. Without them, I wouldn't be able to bring this podcast to you. So special thank you. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Buckle in and get ready to listen to the end of this episode. Starting an apprenticeship is difficult at the best of times, right? Especially a carpentry one. Obviously when you started, as I'm saying, like Jack was there also when my old man was there, and there is a story that we'll unpack soon that we'll go into. But he didn't get an ounce of a break at all. So how did it physically? Because obviously there would have been days in that period of those 2 months. Surely you would have been like, "Nah, I'm not going to do this. Like, there's no way. Like, what? This is so stupid. I'm only getting like, I'm what, 24, 25. I'm only getting, you know, $500-600 or whatever it was. I can't even remember. Why am I going to do this?
Yeah. Oh, one of those days that comes to mind is the day you made me core fill the front fence at this job.
It was like
in buckets in 3 meters.
Side note, it was 3 cubic meters.
Yeah.
3 cubic meters of concrete that Jack had to
hand mix
in a mixer.
No, the mixer broke, so I had to hand mix.
Oh, well, hand mix, and then had to put it in buckets and then get up on a ladder and then core fill it in the wall.
Yeah.
Wall still standing today.
Yeah.
Mind you. And so like what was
there's rough days, but like that's
I'm more talking like right at the start. Obviously as I grew, the business grew, things changed, things evolved. Yeah. The job itself became a little bit more formal. But especially at the start, what was the reasoning? Like, you know, you could have easily gone out there and got a Sparky apprenticeship or gone and just done like a fucking anything and everything. Rather than that, like that's not an easy feat.
Being able to build something from start to finish, like obviously a couple of jobs were bathroom renos, but like day one with you guys on my trial, we were putting roof trusses up at a house in Morningside, and we walked away at the end of that day. I was like, shit, that's up because of us. Yeah. And being able to see that and do that. Yeah. And then obviously when you got that big job at Camp Hill, I was there we demoed the back half of the house, ripped it all out, dug the footings, did all this, and then built the frame, obviously concrete in, built the frame, floor,
everything,
did everything.
We did everything.
Up to chair rail detail and...
Oh, we were literally scrubbing floors at the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you were there right through the get-go of doing everything, yeah.
Yeah. So once I saw the truss go up, then I got to see that next step. I think one of the next jobs was a big deck. Yeah. I don't know if it's you or your brother's job out Redcliffe area.
Yeah, that would have been Garnet, yeah.
Beautiful thing. And then I saw a bathroom renovation. Yeah. I was able, within about 2 months with you, where I wasn't signed up as an apprentice yet, but...
You've seen a lot of attributes.
And I was like, this is amazing. Like, and it's skills that I still take today. Like I've currently just gotten plans drawn up for my partners in my house. And we'll obviously get a concreter and plumber in, but I plan on probably doing 90% of the frames and laying that deck myself. Yeah. Will I be as quick as someone else? No, because I'm still not on the tools and I'll be doing couple of hours in the Arvo here and there. Yeah. But the joy of being able to stand on there, then crack that beer and be like, I've built this, I've done this. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just touch on, there's a very key thing, because for me as the business, and, you know, obviously we've evolved into what we are now, and where we probably won't, you know, we're obviously forever changing, but, you know, we're a lot more stable, a lot more established now. But especially back then, you know, where we did all that, you know, and you sort of were seeing the shift in how we were working, in the style of work. Probably the one thing that I could probably give you credit for, and something that a lot of guys don't have. Sorry, let me reiterate that. Not a lot of guys don't have, just a select few don't have, especially in their apprenticeship, is integrity. So, you know, for you to see out being the age that you were, the time frame, because, you know, you're a prime example that I give a lot of apprentices that we have now. You know, everyone wants to get signed off early. Yeah. I look them dead in the eyes and I say, absolutely not. Why would I?
It's a 4-year apprentice.
Why would I sign an apprentice off early? There is no benefit to me as an employer. If you, and that's not being a dick for you guys that are being like, oh, you know, he's sitting on his high horse. That's not the case at all. At the end of the day, how it's structured and how the Australian government structures it is that apprentices are there for a reason. Number one, they're there to obviously learn a trade that is needed in the economy that we need. Yep. And number two is to help the businesses obviously grow and be profitable and et cetera, et cetera. And the only way to do that as a business owner is to have an apprentice go through their 4-year apprenticeship on the hope that on those last year, maybe 2 years, that they're at that point where they're pretty well qualified. So what you're getting is number one, you're getting the benefit of having a pretty well qualified person that's working in your company. And number two, you're getting a person that you're paying half the amount that you would be paying a qualified. So that's the bonus that you get. So as an employer,
but as apprentices don't understand that these days.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
backstory: I went and became an apprentice teacher or trainer, and I had these apprentices coming up to me and having this same argument, and I tried to explain it in the sense of, okay, that first year where you knew nothing, you couldn't even read a tape, they were still paying you a wage higher than what you were worth. As a business, they're now making their money back in that third or fourth year. Why should they sign you off now? They're making their money off you that they've paid you previously.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just don't understand it.
Yeah. And I just think it's like, Jack, it was obviously a blessing in disguise for me. I got someone that was a little bit more mature and all that sort of stuff. But for the guys that are listening that look at that and they're like, oh, but fucking I'm worth this and I'm worth that and I want to be paid this. At the end of the day, businesses are there to make money. They need to make money to stay alive. Everyone, that's just the facts of it. So, I'm a strong believer in. Now, don't get me wrong. I've got a lot of good apprentices now. Like I think we've got 6. I don't know off the top of my head. I think we've got 6 apprentices now, and they are some really good apprentices. Some of them are really switched on, and they got a lot of tools. They got a lot of gear. And as I said to them, when we get to that 3rd and 4th year time, I'm more than open to have that conversation. But it's going to be up to my discretion. It's not going to be a promise that I'm going to make to you when I shake your hand when I sign you up. All right? If you get to your 4th year and I fully believe that you can run this job or you can do that and you've taken initiative and this guy's talking about this, the PM's talking about you this way, the leading hand saying you've really stepped up, 100% I'm going to reward that. I'm not going to sit there on my high horse and be like, no, fuck you, stay in your lane. But it has to be something that's earned, not given. So I think if you're an apprentice and you're going into it, go into it with the understanding that, you want to do the right thing by your employer, but you obviously also want to do the right thing by yourself. And I think ultimately it goes hand in hand. So, anyway, back to you, back to your apprenticeship and that whole backstory. So you seen the shift of the company on how we were going from, doing our own builds to contracting on hourly rate to working on with
commercial sites at
Murray. Then we were doing other stuff for other builders as well. We were contracting to other crews as well. We did that for a little bit as well. So Jack sort of seen that whole thing unfold. The reason why I want to touch on integrity is like, surely there was points in time that you would have thought, I didn't sign up to do this.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I didn't don't get me wrong, and it's the clear truth, 100%. You did I didn't sign up to, I didn't start a business just to scrub floors or something like that. Like at the end of the day, 100% there was times where you would question yourself and you're like, oh, I didn't sign up to move boards or clean rubbish for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And what sort of got you through those periods? Was it loyalty? Was it just you were a man of your word? How did that all?
We had a little word. I want to say is a week after you signed me up. You're like, I'll know within 6 months if you'll finish your apprenticeship or not.
Yeah.
And once he said that, I was like, no, I'm going to finish my apprenticeship. Yeah. I think mentally having that in my back in my head, I was always going to finish my apprenticeship.
But it's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's true. With no matter who you get, like we've talked about off camera about certain people, right?
Yeah.
That at the end of the day,
come and gone in your business time. And
deep down though,
we both talked after work. Once say apprentice went home, we both said, nah, he's not going to last, or he's going to last.
Yeah.
And
deep down,
90% of them we've been correct.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think deep down as an employer or not even as an employer, as a carpenter for you chippies that are out there that are still in the game, that are doing it now, you guys will know within the first month or few months, you will know whether or not that apprentice that you're working with is number one, going to fucking finish, and number two, they're going to actually have a go at this and stay in it for longevity, or that they've got it in them. You can usually read it because there's all those key attributes, the integrity, the constantly showing up, even when your back hurts, your hands hurt, it's cold, it's hot, you know what I mean? And the constant attitude, like they're all the things that play a massive part. So anyway, what we'll do is we'll put, you can work it out anyway when you want to put that middle part in. But anyway, the story as it goes, I'm going to give you guys a little bit. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a lighter story. So For a lot of you listeners that are listening, as you would know, my old man is no longer around, but he did play a very pivotal part in not so much the business, but mainly just like, you know, how things were in the inception days, like when we were sort of still working things out. I employed him for a bit. Jack was working with him, and anyway, so the story goes is. I was going away with I think I was engaged at the time. I can't fucking remember, but anyway, I was going away with Tamara at the time, and we were going to Japan. Now, this was the first holiday that I had taken in ages, and it was the first one that I've literally had taken with the business being structured how it was. And it wasn't really a fucking structure, but
it was
how
him,
it sort of was. It was basically you,
another
him,
chippy,
and then another chippy, yeah,
and me as a first year. I reckon I was
Yeah.
less than 6 months in.
yeah, and so everything was green lit. I remember, I think we did some stuff in the Val. I can't remember, but anyway, I sat down with everyone. I said, all right, this is what's going to happen. I'm going away. Everyone's sweet. Yep. We all knew what was going on. And then the next day, when I was flying out, I was at the airport walking down the terminal, not down the terminal, down the actual thing to board the plane, and I'm on the phone. I got a phone call. Get a phone call from my old man. What's going on? And I knew that something was up straight away. I'm gonna punch his head in. I'm gonna go. I'm going like doing this. You need to fucking get rid of blah 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 blah. And I'm like, mind you, I'm younger than I am now. For a lot of you guys, you're still young, but I'm young. Just started a business, stressed out of my mind because I'm going away to start with, and then I get this phone call when I'm about to sit on the fucking plane, and then I'm like, what the fuck? So then anyway, get on the plane. They're saying, oh, you know, get your seatbelt on. Here, off your phone, please, sir. And I'm going, all right, what's going on? So anyway, I don't know really the backstory, but
I can tell the backstory. So it was, day away. Plumbers rocked up.
It wasn't even a day. I was away for it was literally I think I was flying out the next morning or something. Yeah. And I got a phone call at 9 a.m.
Plumbers rocked up, and you had put all the plans for that, for the plumbers, Sparkies, because they were coming in the next 10 days or so for this house build. The old man was struggling to bring up. The other chippy, I think he had only started 2 weeks prior, goes, oh, Jack, you're good with technology. Give him a hand. And so I was like, oh, okay, sure. I brought it up on my phone. I was like, oh, you wanting this? Don't tell me what I want. He is frustrated, not working for him. I was working it. The plumber looked at my screen and he's like, stay out of this. I was like, oh, shit. So I walked away, went back to whatever I think I was on ply. 10 minutes later, he finally got going. His anger had built in that time. He comes around and goes, pack your shit and get the off-site. And straight away, I was like, what? I tried to say...
The old boy had a bit of a temper, he did.
Yeah. So I backed my shit, and then, I could hear him calling you as I was packing my shit.
I left, it was 2 weeks of Jack at TAFE. And I was at holidays. I was just like, I got on the plane. I remember getting off the phone and I was like, Tamara goes, everything all good? Like, we're ready to go on holiday.
Yeah.
I get off the phone, she goes, everything all good? And I was like, nah. I was like,
got back.
It's all just gone to fucking shit. Yeah.
You come back 2 weeks later and he's still frustrated. And once I went up to him, I was like, look, sorry, I should have said, do you want help or anything? But instead of just offering it to him, he got frustrated. He realised he was a little bit in the wrong. But I shouldn't have overstepped my mark, especially I was a first year apprentice. I knew shit all.
Yeah,
but
anyway,
I was trying to help on the technology side of things, not on the thing. It was a good time.
Yeah, so
near as good as the time of the welding on that job site.
Oh,
so
man, that was yeah, they were the glory days. So that was a key moment for me where I was like. And there was all this other shit. So, we're talking, I don't know, what was it, 6 years ago?
We've been ended 2018, started 2019?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It was 18 or something like that.
So.
But anyway, it was...
end up working all out and...
Yeah. Oh, the job got done. a few relationships got burnt, but the job got done.
Yeah.
So anyway, now a little bit more about you, a little bit more about the shift. You weren't long qualified when you made the decision to move on and pursue other things. So talk to us about like what you're currently doing now, and why you're. What sort of, I think, obviously, as I said, when you started, you initially didn't have a partner.
Yeah.
Things change, life happens, and I'm probably putting the pieces together now. I think you initially left the bar because you wanted lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think that lifestyle, that component has sort of shifted a little bit, and it's now a little bit more
In
detailed.
that lifestyle.
Yeah, in that
Yeah.
lifestyle column. Sort
Yeah,
of what
so
you're sort of chasing.
I finished with you, we were talking beforehand, May, June last year.
Yeah.
Once I got qualified, I met my partner in my second or third year of apprenticeship, and I was like, she's just finishing teaching. I was getting home from work at 4 or 5 in the afternoon after whatever task we had that day. I was falling asleep on the couch sometimes. And so once I finished my apprenticeship, kind of had a conversation. I was like, love it. Flexibility is good, but she's a teacher. Trying to turn my 4 weeks of holiday a year into her 11 weeks of year. The last year I worked with Corey, took one at September.
Yeah.
Tried taking 3 at Christmas because I had holidays banked up from first year. One at Easter, one at June, July, and it got to the point where, hang on, this isn't sustainable. Saw opportunity to go into the training of apprentices, the flexibility of working in that aspect. Seemed like a good stepping stone because I never went to uni at the time.
Mm-hmm.
6 months into that, well, actually 5 months into that, opportunity came up of Trade to Teach, which is a government program which is getting qualified tradespeople into ITD teaching, the old like wood tech type of teaching at high school.
Yep.
Obviously having a study year teaching degree, so I'm currently doing that. Past trimester 1 into trimester 2.
So Jack, he's now 30 and basically starting it all over again.
Yeah, but hopefully once I finish this off, get the same holidays as my partner. Recently engaged, so she said yes, which we're all amazed about, which is great. But yeah, it's kind of get that right lifestyle that suits us.
Yeah. It's a work in progress, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think it's like one of those things that, all you guys that are like, oh, I want this and that. Don't get us wrong. As I said, Jack did 4 hard years. Like he did 4 hard years of his apprenticeship, finished it. Man of his word. Everyone can say what they want, but at the end of the day, my hat goes off to the guys that actually get their certificate and finish their apprenticeship because, Jack was touching on some statistics earlier off camera. And what were you saying? It was one.
Yeah. So our 50% that start apprenticeship, any trade, only 50. Out of 100% that start apprenticeship, only 50% will finish their apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And then the other one was in carpentry, and it's like 3 years after their trade, only 7% will still be in the industry. And you're like, that's okay. 100 people start today.
Yeah.
4 years, only 50 of them will finish their apprenticeship. 3 years later, only 7 will still be working on the tools. Yeah. Obviously, as a carpenter, we have that flexibility, go into supervisor roles, other positions in that thing. Like I'm doing an ITD role, which is still working with tools, but it's not working on the tools. And what the government are wanting X amount of houses built in the next 10 years.
Well, as I said to all the guys, and it's like, if you stay the course, for you guys that do find, and don't get me wrong, carpentry is not a job. It is a career.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between having a job and having a career, and taking on a carpentry apprenticeship and hopefully being a carpenter or a builder or a project manager or a site supervisor, whatever you want to do. At the end of the day, it is a career-based job, meaning that doesn't happen overnight. You have to go through the process. Jack started his process a lot later than what some of you other guys are. You guys that are getting in there early.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you know what I mean? You put your blinkers on, you close your eyes, you'll be 22 and you'll have everything there done. And obviously, with those statistics comes the opportunity for pay. Because Jack is right. At the end of the day, the Australian economy needs houses built, and it will constantly need houses built forever. Doesn't matter what anyone says. For as long as we're all alive, everyone that's listening, there'll always be a job there. And with those statistics, they aren't getting any better. If anything, they're actually getting worse. With the likes of social media and everything else that's getting around at the moment, it's actually getting worse. So meaning that there's less people coming into the trade, and not only just coming in, but completing the trade and finishing. That means there's less people, in the actual economy that can build these houses. That means only one thing. If you need something done, guess what? People are going to go to the person that, they're going to go to the person that's paying the most. So that's just how it works. And that's how everything has worked over life. Everything. It doesn't matter what we do. If there's limited numbers, it's always going to go to the people that pay the most. So
even once you have your ticket, like, yes, I'm going into teaching. I might be in there for 4, 5, 10 years. I can always fall back on that ticket. Once you have that ticket, if you do 2 years of apprenticeship and then try to fall back into it, there's only a period of time you can actually finish it. At least once you finish it, it's there. You've got it.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I say to all of them. Like, we've recently just brought on a couple of apprentices, and I've sat down with them right at the start and I said, listen, if you want to go and, smoke weed and live in Byron, do that after your apprenticeship. Finish your apprenticeship, finish it all the way through it. Do it. Get that certificate in your hand. If you want to go and work out a cafe and grow your hair long and go chill out and travel Australia, do that. Everyone, if that's what you want to do it. But do that after you've done your trade, after you've done your apprenticeship. If that's what you want to do that. And then you can come back after you've done your little 1 year hiatus thing where you go around Australia and you just cruise around. If that's what you want to do, or you want to completely down the tools and go work at Bunnings or go and chase chicks, go and do that after you've done your trade, because then you can fall back on it.
Especially if you've done that first year. The first year is probably the roughest.
Oh, it's the
first
roughest.
Or second.
Yeah, because your body's adjusting. Everything's adjusting.
First year, your body's adjusting. Second year, you think you start to know it all and you don't. And so...
Yeah. And then even I got guys now that have been in the game for like 3, 4, 5, 6 years, that qualified. They still don't know everything.
Yeah.
So it's just a constant thing of learning. So anyway, touching on, since you've been working, we're probably coming to the end of it now, but since you were sort of working with apprentices a little bit more, what is the common denominator? What is the common, when I'll be a little bit more accurate with that, what is the common thing that you see with apprentices that are either coming through or currently in the trade, like their concerns, their worries, are they finishing, are they not? Like, what are some of the things that you're seeing?
Oh, there's obviously the misconceptions like, sweet, I'm going to be able to build it all.
Yeah.
Some companies, one company, he's putting his apprentice through, obviously I was trying to tick him off his units, but all they did was build fences. And you're like, okay, yep, handle carpentry materials, obviously the units they need to complete their Cert 3. But then when it came to like pitch roofs, building a wall frame, this kid hadn't even done it. Mm-hmm. So just because the company does one thing, that's not all of carpentry. Carpentry is literally from start to finish. Yeah. So concreting, there's a bit of concreting in carpentry. There's roof. There's everything. You need to know how to do it all. Yeah. Or at least the basic understanding. Yes, companies are setting up to do just fencing because then that company specialises in and makes more money for them. As a company, that makes sense. As an apprentice, find that job that you can do more aspects of the carpentry field. Yeah.
I think for us, like an example for us is that we don't really do, like, still a licensed builder, but we don't do builds anymore. A lot of our stuff is contracting work. So an obligation that I've sort of said to all my apprentices is what we do is we do carpentry contracting. So, you're not going to be on a screed. You're not going to be holding a paintbrush, because at the end of the day, that's not what we do. But in saying that, it's all good and well to go and work for these guys that specialize in fencing or in carpentry contracting or whatever, but just pick the employer that you're with. So for us, my thing is what I try to do is I try to at least explain to them when we come across issues or things, and explain to them, the general understanding of concreting, or general understanding of why we need to do this for the painter, why we need to do this for the roofer, why we need to do this for the plumber, why we need to put in logs for this. And I think if you can get you might not know how to screed, you might not know how to use it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
No.
Just as long as you get a bare understanding of it. And, if you are in one of those pigeonholed industries where, like the only thing you're doing is nailing palings on, well, if you really enjoy it and you're in that apprenticeship, then you need to take a little bit more initiative and reach out, do some cash stuff on the weekend, go, do that stuff on your own time, or reach out to a company that is doing a little bit more carpentry stuff and see if you can get in there on a Saturday and sort of broaden your knowledge with that. So...
And then the only other big one is the bosses thinking apprentices are cheap labourers and not spending the time actually training them.
I see that so much.
You will know that after 2 or 3 months of working with someone. If they're not training you or you're just doing one aspect, you're cleaning or you're moving materials, and then you go move materials all day for 4 of the other guys to do the, say, cladding or framing and that is not a good apprenticeship. Yeah. Find an apprenticeship you're actually learning different skills.
Yeah.
Yes, you will have to do those rough
100%.
jobs, move those materials some days. But if you're doing it every day, take a hard look and be like, okay, this boss isn't treating me good.
Yeah. Send us a DM.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that is literally probably one of the most common things that I see thinking about it now is that it's, don't get me wrong, at the end of the day, as you just said, you're going to have to do that. That's an apprentice.
Yeah.
If there's rubbish to be moved, if there's material to be moved, you'll be moving it. It's not going to be
the qualified.
It's not going to be the qualified guys. Unfortunately, if you think that's how it's going to run, that is not how it's going to go. You're going to be moving it. So understand that, but also understand that if that's all you're doing, meaning that if that's, once you finish moving the material, the boss turns to you while they're nailing on cladding and says, all right, you can start cleaning up now. And that's a common occurrence over months. I'm not talking weeks or days, because at the end of the day, you could be moving materials for a full week, right? But if you have it for a period, if you track it over 6 months, for the most part of that, if you've just been cleaning and moving materials, maybe that's when you should probably take a seat and probably rethink it and go, okay, well, maybe this isn't sort of, this isn't probably sort of the thing that I want to be doing. And maybe, doesn't mean that, this is some more advice for your apprentices. It doesn't mean that you should just get up and down tools and say, I'm fucking leaving. Go to your boss and just have the conversation with him and say, hey, listen, I'd like to learn a bit more. I'd like to do a little bit more. Can you give me some more responsibility? And if he hasn't given you that responsibility, sometimes there's a reason for it. Might be the case that you haven't got the gear that you need. Might be a case of that you haven't shown yourself enough. There's heaps of things. So don't just spit the dummy and be like, oh, this whole carpentry game is fucked. It's not. It's just, you got to feel it out for yourself and just, take those things on the chin and, you'll eventually work through it. So, I think we're, what do we got? Yeah, that was good.
Sweet.
So I hope you guys got a little bit of insight into what it's like going through a full apprenticeship, and then taking a little bit of a different route. And I'll reword that one. I was going to say something else. Not being a bitch. You better cut that. I'm putting this in there to make sure if Nick puts it up, he's fucking fired. So I hope you guys got a little bit of insight into what it's like, going through a full apprenticeship, staying the course with a guy that, doesn't really know what he was doing at the start and just, evolving over time. And then, at the end of it, moving into the different part of something that is, I wouldn't say is carpentry, but, is sort of still on that path. So thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Share it with someone that you want to listen this with. What? Blah,
Was
blah,
that
blah.
English?
Share this podcast with someone that you want to I'm going to fucking delete that shit. Just delete all that out. All right. No worries. Thank you, Jack. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.